Hello to all my ghouls, gays, and theys. My name is EJ Marino, and we have a review today. I'm going to be jumping into Season 4 of Dragula, Episode 2, called Nosferatu Beach Party. We're only 2 episodes into Dragula Season 4, and I have to say, this is one of my favorite seasons yet. Maybe it's the upped production value from being on Shudder, maybe it's the great group of monsters, or honestly, maybe I'm just tired of the other Drag Race show, so anything feels a bit different these days. This show is so jam-packed with so much drama, so much crazy high art, and also a lot of real fun outlooks on drag. I will always and forever say, when the Boulets say we are just judging your drag based on this competition, not as your drag as an art, it always makes me happy because that's exactly what these should be. They should be talking about how the monsters translate their work in between, like, the challenge to their selves to the final product. I love that. I think that is such a smart idea, and especially when you have something like Nosferatu Beach Party. This episode was so fun with its theme. Do I love the exact challenge and how it was formatted? No, it was a bit messy. I was just like, okay, we're having all of them on the stage at one time. That seems a bit counterproductive to trying to get into individual styles, but they seem to have a decision by the end of the episode, so I can't really complain about it too much. Oh, also I should talk about the Dolly-sized elephant into the room. Dolly has entered the competition as well, and I'm quite happy about that. I think Dolly did really good on the Resurrection season. I was rooting for Saint, but this was a good addition as well to this cast. Dolly really, it was interesting because when I was watching this, unlike Land Insider's season, I was just like, oh wow, I can't really pinpoint someone who I could see as a winner just yet. Not that I think any of the monsters are bad, but I haven't seen the clear-cut winner. Dolly walked in and I said, oh boy, this could be a winner, and then Dolly slayed this challenge for me, and I'm like, oh, we have a lot. We have a lot to talk about in this episode, so let's finish up the review section and get into the recap. After last week's challenge, the monsters arrive into the boudoir, and they're already getting into it. This group is so fiery with each other. The way Astrid talks to certain people, the way Mary Cherry has a lot of opinions. And this episode, I was just like, am I on Team Mary? Okay, maybe not for the challenge, but overall, I think Mary has a lot to offer. I kind of called her, like, I kind of was a little bit, like, she's a little bit loud last week. She's a little bit Eureka O'Haraing this, where she's saying 500 things and hoping at least 100 of them land. This week, though, I was just like, yeah, from thirsting after Dolly to how you feel about, like, some of these other people. Like, I love Sigourney in that first episode. I still love Sigourney, but I do think her drag is it's interesting. It's not as, oh my goodness, as I thought. Though, again, Mary is not always the most breathtaking either, so you never know. And I just think this is interesting to see these kind of hot tempers with each other. They are very interesting personalities. This reminds me of Drag Race season 1, 2, and 3, when those, like, queens were, like, not afraid to piss people off and have opinions and actually, like, go out and say things. And I'm like, oh, we are actually showing ourselves into this season, and I love it. So Savaletta comes back from beating formaldehyde, which, yeah, I guess I did not like Savaletta's outfit, but at the same time, I think they performed better in that extermination challenge. So I was just like, okay, Savaletta comes back and already has opinions. Already is this whole, like, early boudoir stuff is so jam-packed with so much drama, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we are getting into it so early. We're really showing these, like, monsters have feelings. I mean, Mary's going after this person. Astrid has a lot of opinions. We will talk about Astrid having a breakdown in a bit. I thought Savaletta was bad this week. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I was really interested. So the monsters get their challenge, their little mini challenge. Basically, they have to eat, inspired by garlic, or inspired by vampires, a whole thing of garlic and some goat blood. It is gross. I am so surprised anyone was even able to do it. I swore my Cuban self was like, yeah, I can get through some garlic. No, that sounds disgusting. Basically, they all kind of falter until Savaletta just goes, thank you, mine, and gets to actually pick the teams. I love when mini challenges actually result in something. And Savaletta picked these teams the way that, like, they put these off with each other. I was just like, okay, it all makes sense. It actually is all like, okay, these teams are, nothing felt malicious. I was so, like, Sigourney was going to be with Mary. That was very my Drag Race brain. I'm like, No, all these teams really work together, like Astrid and oh god, Astrid and Sigourney together. Yeah, not so much. But then also, I really love like Hoso and Dolly together. I thought that was like a really fun pairing. I thought that was really cool. I expected so much more from pairings like Saint and Savaletta, and they did fine. I don't particularly love them as much in the challenge as the Boulets did. Then we have people like Coco, who I wanted to do so well and just seemed a bit lost in this whole challenge. I liked this idea as well. They were doing a Nosferatu Beach Party. Basically, you guys have to do a old kind of 50s teen movie style beach party, which if you guys don't remember a lot of those old kind of black and white films where it'd be like a bunch of like hot teens at the beach dancing and stuff, it was a really big subgenre. Think a little bit of like Grease. I know Grease is in the 70s, but yeah, think about that style of film, and they were really big. So that's why a lot of the outfits felt so dated in a lot of ways, so influenced by a certain time period, because this was really big in the 50s. So they have this little beach party. They have to do a little lip sync number. They also have to showcase their big Dracula, Nosferatu, vampire-inspired looks. That's why I'm wearing my vampire teeth shirt today. Yeah, I like the challenge. I wish it was presented a bit better, but overall, this was a fun idea, and I think it was executed as best as it could be. Well, we'll see. So this week, looking at the teams, we had Sigourney and Astrid. We had Dolly and Soho. Bitter Betty was with Jade Jolie. We had Mary Cherry and Coco. And then rounding out the teams, we had Savaletta and Saint. Overall, I thought these teams were, again, well paired. They all kind of work together. None of them really seemed to combine their outfits into one. Like, you look at how weird Mary looked and how weird Coco looked, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I was really expecting some unity in some of these looks. I think Betty and Jade really had a good look together. I do think that Jade was definitely safe again, a bit elevated from last week's safe, but I was liking it, and I thought their little bit of gags that they did on the stage was fine. You can see people like Mary was a bit flustered by the performance, and I would have got on stage and been like, I have this small of space to perform and this big look? Come on. This is where I understood Mary's anger. Mary was one of the safe monsters this week. So the safe ones were Jade, Sigourney, and Mary, which I thought were all, well, safe ones. I think Jade was okay. I think Jade really needs to get into the top or bottom to get some critiques, get some feedback from the judges. I think that would be very, very good. Basically, all of them perform, and they have their number, then they get to the stage. We said the safe queens, and our tops and bottoms are quite interesting this week. We had people like Savaletta in the top. We had people like Bitter Betty in the bottom, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there was pretty crazy stuff. I mean, I also really loved Dolly this episode. I thought Dolly's fun, if you know wrestling, Danhausen-inspired ghoul who was just creeping in the background. I was gagged, obsessed into that. We also had Saint, who won the challenge, who looked great. I really liked Saint's outfit, those little floaties. As soon as Saint walked out, I said, this is a winning look. It's vampiric, it's beachy, it's more futuristic than all the 1950s inspired looks. I was into all of that. We also had Astrid landing in the bottom for one of the most boring looks on that whole workroom, like runway, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, that after being Xenomorph last week, you do this? Come on. So in the bottom is Astrid and Bitter Betty, and this sends Astrid down a spiral. Betty basically is watching all of this happen, and I think she was, the pure evil that I think Betty is, was absorbing all of the stress and said, please, get stressed, fluster yourself, because we have something crazy to do. They have to immerse themselves into leeches, and I'm like, oh my Satan, like, I can't believe y'all did this. And I was like watching, I think it was getting Astrid was in the bottom from being in the top last week, going to the leeches. I understood the frustration. It's not like everything he said was wrong, but also at the same time how it came out, the attitude, like diminishing some people, like the way he was talking about Sigourney and the way other people had to stand up. I was really into this. This is when I also circled back on Mary and being like, not I'm a little bit annoyed to being like, well, at least you're not that, and also at the same time, you are saying more honest and more interesting things than what Astrid has to say. I'm so glad the finale goes the way it does. So Astrid and Betty do their little challenge, and Betty whoops ass. Betty puts like leeches in between the boobs, on the arms, really keeps her like composure, and I was really into that. Astrid goes home in a fun little ending as well. I like that the beginnings are really tying into the endings. As much as I complained about the Dragula short films, I like that they're tying into the episodes. That helps me a lot. I don't know if other seasons have done that, but here I thought it was executed well. We got rid of someone who I'm not a big fan of, and we kept Dolly. I was just like, wow, we got rid of Dolly's like drag daughter, but we kept Dolly. I'm fine with that. I hope you guys are too. What do you guys think of this episode? Because there was a lot happening and so much goth ghouly goodness to watch. Alright everyone, that is it for my review of Dragula episode 2 of season 4. I had a grand old time watching our monsters have a good episode. I liked the challenge. I didn't love the challenge. I was almost there. I thought it was just a little messy in execution, but overall it worked for me. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you guys think of Dragula season 4? Let me know your feelings down in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel because I make videos like this every single week, and give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Alright everyone, let's talk about Dragula down below.